loved hearing this side of you as a composer. We talked about this before. Steve has written a lot of pieces where he sings and plays the piano that are wonderful. And I was thinking, wow, I don't know, can I ask him if he would write something else? And so he was obviously reading my mind. And this is great and very poetic and ballad-like. And can you talk about how you
Sure,
got to
because
this
I want to
piece?
also thank my friend Glenn Charlo. He does done a lot of filming for me through the years for various things, including the sort of day job, I guess, that I have. But it's wonderful to have him actually singing, because that's what we used to do when we were kids. We used to perform together, and but I really like that suggestion that a few people made. Why not have other people? And I thought, well, that's really a good idea, because I think that people can sing much better than I can and do a lot of the kind of performing things. And I even thought, I don't know if you could tell, that there was another instrument that I wanted to have in this piece.
Can anyone guess?
Harp.
Yeah. So, but I was unfortunately not able. I had spoken with Marguerite before I guess a few weeks ago. But that's a little bit hard to find a good harpist nowadays. I guess it's pretty common. But I thought it would be a really good idea to have other people doing some of the. In fact, I think maybe the ideal thing would even be having myself just watching and having someone else do the piano part too. But part of it was more recently written, so I felt, well, I had to sort of try to do that myself. And I enjoyed playing piano too, but I wanted to keep it a little bit less primary. So that's one reason I tried to keep the top down too, to give the sound a chance to really show itself.
Is there a reason that you use such a low tessitura for the vocal part?
Yes, that's a very good question. Actually, a long time ago, Glenn had a somewhat different voice. He was a high tenor until about maybe 15 years ago. And what I noticed that he would do when he would sing was that he would, when he got to the low register, he would just sort of try to get through it. And then when it got to the high notes, he would really try very hard to sing as best as he could. And I said, you know, Glenn, someone has to write a song for you where you really have to work hard to get those low notes. And so finally I said, okay, well, you're not going to be able to get out of this one.
So you were helping Glenn improve as a singer?
Well, I guess I thought it would be an interesting challenge, and I said, well, here's a piece of, a little bit different from something you, and then as soon as he started, he said, boy, that's really, that part was great.
Yeah, it was bittersweet, like the song, so I thought it had thematic importance, perhaps. Any thoughts from the audience? Sam?
Yeah, Steve, I really, I've heard a lot of your songs now, and it was nice to hear a totally different harmonic language than your other tunes, a totally different kind of piano playing. And then also, but I think also even though you weren't singing, you were still playing the piano, and this was actually more serious song than most times you have really funny songs. But still in this song, the humor came out, and I thought that was really nice.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I guess I have written a lot of, in fact, one of the first songs I remember writing at went to the Walden School was about a train wreck, which might not sound that humorous, but the words were actually sort of comical. So I wanted to try something really very different from that. And in some ways, it reminded me of the very earliest learning when I used to go to the Saturday program that was the original sort of like associated with Walden, the musicianship program that David Hogan and Grace Cushman and later Pam and Cindy joined, which was 1 hour every Saturday, which I did for about 7 years. And so I remember we had to do these modal exercises, and and then we were trying to work in different kinds of modes, and we said, well, certain ones are harder to do than others, and that's one reason you probably heard I ended on that little Locrian sound there. I thought it sort of reminded me of the early days when we all wanted to have that, sneak that in there somewhere, somewhere in class, because then Hoagie would have to say something about that if you did something with Locrian. So.
I just wanted to say I really enjoyed both the lyrical and philosophical tenor that was involved in both the music and the thoughts that you could find.
Well, thank you.
Great, well, thank you very much, Steve.
Okay.